I am very delighted to have an opportunity to speak to this audience this afternoon. When a suggestion was made by Florence that I should come and talk here, I had some mixed feelings. The last time I was here, I was attending a presidential debate. And I don't think that I was very fairly treated. But I said I would come again. And I've come again and again to this place. So I'm very happy to see this audience this afternoon. I was asked to talk about a vision for the next 60 years and beyond. 60 years ago, our people proclaimed our country's independence. With that, we affirmed that our national right as a people to be masters of our own fate and destiny. But how did we end up as Kenya? It is important that you go back into history. Kenya, the name Kenya was coined much later by missionaries. There's many versions to it, saying a missionary, I think it was called Mr. Herman, was talking to Mkamba around Mount Kenya, and he said, they were talking about Kinyaga. And the Zungu said Kenya. They were talking about Kenya. But then this geographical space called Kenya was drawn in over 100 years ago in Berlin, at the Berlin Conference, where the imperial powers met. And at that time, there was scramble for Africa. So they decided to partition Africa, 1884-85. So Africa was then parceled out to various colonial interests, imperial powers, Portuguese, Spaniards, the British, the French, the Italians, and the Belgians. Spain got a small portion of it. So this is how these maps were drawn. And these maps were drawn artificially in Berlin without any regard to the people who were living in Africa. So Africa was artificially divided among the imperial powers. That's why you see that borders among many African countries are straight lines. If you see a border with Somalia, it is a straight line. One line inside and one straight line and another line outside. Our border with then Tanganyika was a straight line from Lake Victoria all the way to the Indian Ocean. It was only in 1860-something, because Tanganyika was given to Germany, to the German territory. And on the German Emperor's 50th birthday, it was called Otto von Bismarck, Queen Victoria was the head of the British Empire, in a gesture said that on your 50th anniversary, I give you the highest peak in Africa, Kilimanjaro. And that is how, you see, Kilimanjaro was originally in Kenya. But then you see the map between Kenya and Tanganyika, now Tanzania, a straight line from Lake Victoria to Kilimanjaro, then it comes into Kenya, takes Kilimanjaro to Tanganyika, then again a straight line to the Indian Ocean. That is how it was done, arbitrarily. Then, but formal colonization, actually, of Kenya took place in 1904. But when the British first came here, they started building a railway line. By building a railway line, and they built a railway line from Mombasa. It was called Kenya-Uganda Railway. It was built from Mombasa up to Kisumu. You ask yourself, if it was Kenya-Uganda Railway, how did it end up in Kisumu? The reason is, at that time, Kisumu was part of Uganda. Uganda's boundary came all the way up to Naivasha. From Naivasha up to Lake Turkana, the west of that was Uganda. That's why it was called Kenya-Uganda Railway. When it reached Kisumu, it had reached Uganda. From there, they were now taken by ship across the lake to Port Bell in Uganda. Then, but then this Kenya was called actually just a territory. It was actually run by a company called British East Africa Corporation. They were just using it for hunting, coming to search for gold and ivory. But then came one colonial master, one imperialist by the name of, his other name, but later on he became known as Lord Delamere. He came through Somalia on a horseback. And when he came on a horseback, he arrived on Mount Kenya. And then he saw a very beautiful land around Mount Kenya. He came down through Laikipia into what is the present day Nyahururu, they called Thompson Falls at that time, into the Rift Valley, through Nakuru, Njoro, Eldoret, or Singishu, up to Mount Elgon. So he saw a very beautiful land. So when he came back to Nairobi, he went and met the governor. He told the governor that, look, you have a beautiful land here, which is ripe for large-scale agriculture. You have built a railway line from Mombasa all the way to the west. But the railway line will have nothing else to transport. It will be transporting goods from Mombasa to interior. But on the way back, it will be going back empty. To make this railway line productive, you need to